How's the new
Oh,
place?
here we go. The new place is definitely way nicer than where I was at. Just yeah, it's just a lot cleaner. It doesn't have cockroaches in it. It's got two bedrooms, all for the same price of if you
Nice.
saw where I was living, it was literally in the dumps.
Oh
It was so
no,
bad in Miami. And this
Miami's
is what I could
expensive.
afford. And it was like 1,300 and it was a one bedroom and it was complete crap. So for a decent apartment, you have to spend like 2,000 a month, and that's just way too much for a one
Yeah, that's
bedroom.
wild.
Yeah.
So far here is really nice. Definitely a step up as far as quality.
And you
That's
got
dope. You have a work from home job.
yeah, that's
Yeah. But I had to sacrifice 7 weeks. I don't know why 7 weeks of training, but I had to sacrifice 7 weeks of trading the open.
Yeah, that's
That's
tough.
that's a
'Cause
fucking long
that's
time.
I
Yeah.
don't know, dude.
That's so weird.
but it'll be nice to have that second source of income though.
I know on the other side it's gonna be really nice.
Are you gonna trade like power hour, or are you gonna switch it up, or what are you gonna do? Only
No,
pre-market?
I had to do 7 a.m. to about 9:30 and then have to go to training at 10, which is like a 20-minute drive. So pretty much gotta wrap it up by 9:30 for
Yeah,
7 weeks.
pre-market.
I don't get back
Pre-market
till
trading.
6, so that's it. But in a way that could help because I do struggle pre-market. I don't really size up as much as I could, and like my accuracy is a lot lower. So in a way, maybe it could be good for me to only focus pre-market because then I can kind of, I guess I could figure out what I'm good at pre-market and try to boost those skills.
Yeah, typically you want to do less of what you're bad at and more of what you're good at. But if you
Yeah.
could if you could figure that out exactly what you're saying, then maybe there is a
Yeah.
pre-market opportunity there for you.
Yeah, whenever I lost my PDT account, I was like, I realized pretty quickly that like if you want to actually make it as a trader, you gotta just take every step back and be like, this is a good thing, okay? Like, because you just get all these
Yeah.
fucking just like punch you in the face just every day, and you have like eventually you got to be like, all right, I need to use this as some kind of incentive. So like when I lost my PDT account, and I was like, well, I need to trade options now. And I was like, well, maybe options will help me hold longer because you can't really scalp options. And like ever since then, I definitely am holding trades way longer than I used to. So
Yeah.
bad things can be good.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
that's definitely true. Should we make that like a bit of a topic, or should we? Does somebody want to start, or because that's definitely in a way the topic of every trader in a way.
Well, bad things. I guess talk about your trade
I could start.
or talk about your strategy, how you're changing it, and you know what, like, I mean, coming from my perspective, learning a new strategy entirely, trying to hold longer and not really take those quick scalps. Yeah, in the beginning, you're going to be taking losses for sure until you understand the risk profile of that strategy.
That's a big part of it, fully understanding that risk profile. Where do you take profits? Where do you cut? So on and so forth. I think that's what's making this extremely difficult because once you're profitable and you're able to make a couple thousand a month, and then you're kind of switching stuff up, and then you're tripping over yourself just constantly. It gets quite frustrating for sure. Let me just really quickly, I'll go big screen here. Where is share screen? Oh, there she flows. 23 January. So yeah, on Friday, I just, I pretty much was red and I just got more and more red. I only did 5 trades. One of the trades was just a total disaster. This whole month is
Your last one there.
That's tough for me. We'll review that one for sure.
Jeez.
Tuesday, I was able to just get more and more in the green. That was one of those good days. Wednesday was really nice. Yesterday was, I was red, green, red, and it was just kind of all over the place. Then I called it. Today was also like yesterday, but it was like I kept on trading, and it's almost like the line just kept on going. And then I had that one trade where I went back to break even, but I didn't take profits, and I went back down. So I'm slightly red on the month. It's not like that bad. It kind of means like in a way I'm doing things right. I think I actually had my stats open already. This was this week. So today I had like an $800 red day. So I'm like $300 red this week. But you could see I'm just not trading that much, which is good. I'm trying to, hold these. Winners.
I want to take a look a little bit longer at their stats. I just want to take a look.
Yeah. Okay. Look at these bad boys.
So, I mean, your accuracy isn't that bad.
No, the accuracy is actually surprisingly okay. The risk reward is pretty on point. There is really this
So
week.
it's just one trade, huh?
This week on Monday, I really had one of those trades that was a pure, I even called it, like I've been really dialing down on my patterns, and like sometimes I'll just straight up call a trade emotional. And and Monday there was an emotional trade where I just gave back. I just chased near the top. It was extended on every time frame, and I missed my entry. It did exactly what I wanted. I chased, and then it flushed right back to where I wanted to enter. And it was like a 8-9% loss here. Is what it is. It's not even that bad. I think the lesson here for this week for me is actually what I posted today. And I don't want to be like, okay, it's Friday, let's talk about Friday's trade. But in a way, this kind of really wraps up a lot of what I've been going through. And so on this trade, I was pretty much up 14%. I bought right here. We had basically support, higher low come in, a little bit of it's hard to call this one a first stare, but in a way it is, where we kind of formed a support, popped up. Now we're consolidating, getting ready for that next leg up. I start accumulating here. This was really good. Pops up here. I'm looking for that break over VWAP, just like we had before. I start taking profits. And then I'm like in my head, and I told myself before I entered this trade, and this is something I've been studying a lot, and I've reviewed all my trades, and something I'm doing in my videos, because I record myself trading, is basically calling out what I'm trading in my strategy before I enter it. So it's always in my head. I call this one a scalp trade. My goal was to trade this range. For some weird reason, I only took like half size off. And then I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to average into this winner on this pullback, even though today was not the market for that. Specifically around 10 o'clock, like 7 to 10 o'clock, we had nothing that was working. I mean, you saw this trade, and every other trade was not working for me either. I started trading here. That also didn't work. So I'm already red on the day, like $500 at this point. So at here, I was basically flat on the day again. And for some reason, I didn't take my profits. I averaged down here. I was looking for that continuation. Obviously, this would have been a huge winner if that worked. But it wasn't the market for that. So first lesson, always call out your scalp, call out your trade. Is it a scalp trade? Is it a trend? Like, you want to, ride the trend as long as possible. And if it's like a clean front side, high of day, first green day, and it's riding above VWAP, the 90 EMA on the 5-minute, I mean, you go for it, right? Make that a trend and, average into your winner. But this ticker is trending down right now. It's not the time.
Yeah. I have a couple lower highs. I guess where you took that trade was the second lower high.
Yeah.
But,
so the entry was really nice.
Yeah, after you saw it fail VWAP in the morning, I think it was definitely a little aggressive to look for that continuation, in my opinion. But
I think in a way, like the entry was pure like level-headed Alex, and the exit was like pure emotion. At that point, I was like probably revenge trading, because I was red on the day and I had so many tickers that failed, and I was just like, all right, like this one's gonna work. So I just should have stuck to my rules. And here's a really important part. When you're red on the day, first get green, first get a little bit of buffer zone, and before you look for home runs or something like that. And that is a rule. All these are kind of rules that they're not new, but I think I learned it extra hard this week. And this trade right here really sums up a lot of stuff I've been dealing with. So to really get better at that is I've been really honing down my patterns, and I'm putting on several patterns on each trade. I'm going to review them all again over the weekend. And man, I'm not gonna lie, like I've basically 3 to 4x my studying time, and it's getting really clear in my head. And I feel like I'm getting really close, but I'm still sometimes, like, oh, let me start, really trend following, or okay, now I'm getting too scalpy again. So I just need to get into that flow a little bit more. So, these red days don't really bother me that much. I know I'll get it. And, to anyone that's listening, if you want to really improve your trading, really 10x your studying, that's what's really doing it for me. Obviously, it doesn't look like it, but it's getting clear in my head. And that's why I'm not too worried about it. I'll just quickly review this last trade right here, and then we could, if you guys have any questions. So this trade, FWBI, I did a pretty good job on this one, I felt like as well, because at this point, I actually realized, okay, well, we have big resistance here at $7. We gapped up really quick. And what I did was I just traded this one based on, support here on the 9 EMA. I knew this was big resistance, and I just kind of took this scalp trade. I went ahead, called it out. I'm going to scalp this one. I'm not going to do trend continuation. And this is like one of those classic times, like where, I'm just really clear in my head. I'm being honest with myself, what I'm trading, what I'm doing here. So I didn't like size into this winner and then close for a loss, which has been happening a lot lately. So just kind of being clear to yourself before a trade.
Alex, for that second trade you had, I've been using, so like, obviously, if you're going to do a new strategy, the trend continuation, you kind of still want to always have like an exit plan, because that's the thing that me and Nate have been trying to do, way more trend continuation trading, because we just realized that, like, I don't know, it took us a year to basically find out that it actually has a way higher risk reward than trend reversal. And it actually is way easier to do. And it's way more fun to trade. And you're way more green and XYZ, whatever. But
I agree.
Yeah, like you just follow the trend. It's so much easier. But the problem is, if you get in a good spot, it's so easy to watch it go and then pull back. And then you're like, fuck. And you like get scared and you like panic out of your position. And then it either goes in the same direction anyway, or it just retraces the whole move. But something that I've been doing with the large caps, at least, is so I know you're using the 9 moving average.
Yeah,
is that the 9 right there?
The blue is the 9 EMA.
So the thing that I've been doing is I'll have like 2 scenarios. So the first scenario is that we're slowly bouncing off the 9. We'll tap the 9 like 15 times in a row and just slowly grind up. If it's that scenario, I'm going to cut the trade the second it breaks through the 9 cleanly. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay.
Like
so like something like this is a pretty intense break.
So in that scenario, see how it extends far above the 8? Like, I don't know what the percentage is of the extension above that 8, but obviously if the moving average is being extended that high, it's probably going to pull back. So like for the large caps, at least, once I get a 10-point futures extension from that 8 moving average, I'm looking to take my profits, because that's like a sign to me that, like, usually we're going to ride the 8 moving average. So if we're going to extend that much, it's probably a good point to just take the profits and get out.
Yeah. In a way, I technically took profits almost at the perfect time.
That was perfect.
Halfway through, I even waited. You can't see it right here, but it basically closed, and then it pulled back a little bit, opened a little bit higher, and I started taking the rest of my size off. But then I was like, like, let me keep holding this one. And then like halfway through the trade, I turned it into a different trade.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. Like, especially with small caps, if you're ever up like 10% or so, especially if it's not like a clear high day move, blue sky setup, you're above VWAP, then it's probably good to take your 4. I mean, this was a 14% winner on a day where nothing was working. So again, like, why?
That's ridiculous. That's a huge return.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous.
So it's throwing me off a little bit. Here's actually one quick example of a trade that you could actually go for trend continuation. We had this really nice, I wish I could zoom in a little bit more here, but we had this really strong 5-minute, a little bit of like a V shape and then like an R. So there was a lot more support coming in here, and it just kept on riding the 5-minute 9 EMA trend so strong. This was GROM. So that's where you can start sizing in, and you're going to have to go through some of these pullbacks. And even then, you could maybe take some profits, start buying again, take some profits, start buying again. Basically what I started thinking I should do on QNCX. The problem is, I think, and especially when you're starting off, you want to like, these things get a little bit more advanced. And when you're just starting off and maybe you're pivoting a strategy like I am, sometimes you only want to do just one thing. Let me for 2 months only take profits, on that 10% pop. And then over 3 months or so, then it's like, okay, well, 40% of my trades, when they're over VWAP, when they're over the 5 EMA, or the 5-minute 9 EMA, those are the ones that actually end up continuing. So let me maybe adapt my strategy a little bit further. But you can still kind of see that I'm doing a little bit too many things at once. And that's still my biggest problem at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On that trade right there, Alex, when you added into it for your last ad, because Thinkorswim doesn't show you the actual tick mark for where you got in, was on that red candle, did you get in at VWAP or did you get in closer to the 9?
This one, I got in pretty close to VWAP, actually. It was like right around here. So that was way too aggressive. That was actually still when the 5-minute was looking really good. So that's why I kind of got more aggressive. And then I was like, I gave it a little bit of a chance here to maybe rip back up, because sometimes you see that. It didn't, it failed, and I just cut. I did cut kind of late, in all honesty, but I guess that's where the butthurt part comes out.
Alex,
once you failed VWAP and then you broke that 9, I think that was definitely, because if you look at that on the 5-minute, at that point you pretty much confirmed a lower high there, and that you're definitely backside at that point. So
yep, that was it. That was the red flag. Luckily I didn't blindly hold or something. I think I'm way past that. We all probably are at this point, but gotta cut your losses.
Yeah,
I was just gonna say, Alex, that maybe you could split up, like, I wouldn't say not split it up, but like there's a difference between trading something to hold like all day and multiple swing, like hold for a long time. And obviously that's like a all-time high, way above like the 200 daily moving average, like breaking out, pulling back, holding the 9 EMA above VWAP, all those things. Like those are trades where obviously you're adding, and you're selling end of day. But then there's also the trades where it's like, we're kind of in a range. We're still below the 200 moving average. We're bouncing up and down above VWAP, but you want to get like that bottom push higher, like that trade you had. And on those scenarios, obviously you still want to have a really good exit plan, which that.
Yeah, but I totally agree. You got to know what trade you're in. And then there are those 4 hours. I'll just share really quickly one more time here. I have been doing a few 4-hour trades, like NRSN. You can see I basically bought here on the big support zone. We had the 180, we had the daily support zone, we had the 9 EMA come in. I basically just started accumulating this ticker, small size, nothing crazy. I think I did like 1,000 shares. I started accumulating, started popping higher. I added into the winner, kept going up, but there was a lot of resistance below $2. You could see these tops here. So I just ended up closing this trade. And this one, for example, this was a 15% winner. And this was like using the daily time frame. I've been doing a few of those, and those actually have been working pretty well. I did unfortunately close out one today where I unfortunately got stopped out. Let me see if I can quickly SPRB. So this was a 7% winner, a little bit bigger size, but look at this one. It was green. I ended up somewhere buying in this area on the 9 EMA pullback. My goal was to sell around $3. So it was kind of like a range trade, just like a multi-day range trade. So I buy down here in that support. This is like that 5-minute just kind of support grindy area. You don't really know what's going on. And I had a stop, and I kept on moving up my stop. Unfortunately, for some reason, halfway through the trade, I'm like, oh, okay, it's extended. I'm just going to, it pulled back, had a morning panic, and I just closed it. I still made 7-8%, but right after I closed it, this is a very low volume trade, so it's kind of tricky in general, but I'm just kind of practicing. Then it has like I don't know, this is like a 20-30% run. So this could have been a huge winner percent wise. And again, limit your downside, set those stops, but do not limit your upside when you're trend following, or hold to trade to hold, I think you call it.
Yep.
Yeah. 100%.
That's great.
So that's what I'm working on over here.
It's funny because you're working on essentially the same thing as us, but in a whole different world.
Yeah, exactly.
Small cap world.
I was just going to say that being break even also is an accomplishment. We kind of forget that as we get better at trading. So we're like, we just want to make money, but like you know, being break even is still hard for
especially on a
almost
new
everybody.
strategy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I should probably, I don't know if I want to size down anymore. Like sometimes I think about it, but then it's like, if I have that winner, I don't take it seriously. And I think that's a huge problem as well. So I feel like I can't even be trading less than like $3,000, maybe $2,000. Otherwise I just, yeah, part of me just doesn't take the trade seriously.
Yeah.
These strategies are tough.
No, for real. Struggle.
Let's see here. Anyone specifically has like a good follow-up to that? Or should we switch it totally into like a different
Yeah,
gear?
I can add to, you know, the small caps is probably best that I go next, so because it's more relevant.
Yeah, I feel
So I'm just going to go over my statistics for the week and some of the trades that I had. All right, you guys can see?
Yep.
All right, yeah. So for this week, definitely more consistent.
yeah, nice.
Damn.
So 5.
I was gonna say that's
a
a
nice
solid
Holy
month.
hell.
You hit 100 trades, 100 trades on the 12th.
Yeah,
fucking awesome.
I trade a lot. This is definitely scalping here with all these trades.
Yeah. No, that's a
But it's
great
been a
month,
while
though, man.
since I had over $100 day before this week. It was probably about a month and a half, 2 months since I had over $100 day. Just
But you
starting
look
to
at
get
your
my footing
losers.
now.
Your losers are 30, $40, so that's
Yeah, we'll
fine.
go over the stats after this, but yeah,
Me and
here
Nate are like drooling. Holy shit.
yeah, here I start getting my footing this week again. I'm starting to hit the gas pedal a little bit and trying to get back to where I was, you know, hitting those $300, $400 days. So that's what I'm working on, you know, sizing up right now with this scalping strategy.
All right, shut up. Sorry.
So yeah, so for the statistics this week, definitely, yeah, you can see I'm getting my footing back. So 586 on the week, which was pretty average in 2022 in like the mid 2022, before the market started getting cold. So I'm starting to get back to that area. My average win, average loss this week was actually really good. Usually it's around more so break even red sometimes, for my average win, average loss. But this week, I don't know. It's just something, I guess, with the momentum fit sort of like my style of trading more. So, you know, I also have to get better at, you know, obviously recognizing that earlier and trying to size in bigger. My accuracy is right around average, a little bit lower than it's been in the past. Usually I'm averaged around 60%. And I had a nice largest winning trade. That was today, which I will recap on BZFD, which actually was a mistake. It was actually one of the trades that I had my biggest ever loss on, and I took that same setup. And this one happened to be a winner, but I have to definitely be more wary for this trade because that was the one trade I had $900 loss on. I forget the ticker. I could go back and figure that out, but I don't want to spend the time doing that. But we'll go through the trades for this week. So this one here looks like can't see because BXRX. So this is my picture perfect setup at the open. When you catch a dip and then you have shorts on the wrong side of the trade, and then you can see that curl back up for that red to green move. So when the stock goes from red on the day to green on the day, and this is really good because it's still holding the trend. So that's where you can get, you know, the shorting right at the open. And, you know, we're going to reject here off the support. And then that's where you see the shorts start either taking profit or stopping out for a loss to the high. So this is sort of my picture perfect setup. I have a couple of these this week. So here we test that 9 EMA. We don't quite break back over. So I'm looking for another dip, and you can see this dip didn't actually fully retest this previous support in the pre-market. So we're going to see, you know, what price does. So I'd put in a starter. There I actually got out because I thought it was in too early. Thought it was going to go down a little lower. So I'm kind of waiting for that perfect entry, which sometimes works against me. Sometimes it does work for me. So here I'm patient. I see buyers coming in. As you can see, the bottom of that wick getting bought up. So you can tell that there's someone supporting that price there. So now I'm kind of more interested. I made like, I think 10 bucks off of that support bounce there. And I'm just waiting for sort of like that wick to get bought up. So Sarah, see there, it's starting to get bought up.
Mm.
I'm sort of quick to take my profits here, which is sort of one of my weaknesses. But then I jump in there as it starts to flip green. Now I'm looking for that break over that previous 1 minute candle to make that 1 minute high. So a little bit sloppy, but it does turn out to be a pretty decent trade for that break of 6. And then that put me over 100 on the day. So that wasn't terrible, but obviously it does get a little sloppy, and there it goes, starts to halt up. It does get a little sloppy because I'm always getting in and getting out, but a lot of the times that does manage my risk to the downside more so than leaving profits on the table. Also that depends on the type of market that you're in. But yeah, here we go. We halt up, but it doesn't go much farther than that. Immediately rejects.
That's wild, man.
But
It's
so
so interesting.
that trade right there, if this would have, if I would have FOMO'd into the high at 640, that would have been definitely ugly. And that's where my mistakes happen, is if I miss this red to green and I start chasing it into the high and then I get dumped on. That's my biggest ever losses. And that's what actually happened today on BZFD, which I will show here, which is actually a mistake, but actually turned out to be a green trade because I was able to get out quick enough. But I definitely need to be more risk adverse chasing these into the highs. So here I'm watching AUVI, and then I flip over to BZFD. It's doing that red to green move as we just saw in the other stock. But at this point, I'm already late to the party, and I'm trying to find like a next entry. So I don't know where to get in here. And a lot of times I start FOMOing into the high. This was a decent entry if I would have held at 83, but I took like a 3-cent profit here, and then it immediately gaps up 10 cents. And then this is where my FOMO kicks in. Look, we're so extended off of this previous support. Previous support's all the way down there at 269 at VWAP. We're so extended on the 1 minute, and here I am. I have 500 shares buying right into the high. If this rejects off the high, this could be a really, really bad loss, which is something I'd be more aware of, trying to situate myself a little bit earlier in the move. But so here my risk 294, I'm risking, it's pretty much 1-to-1, maybe even negative. But I did luck out. It did break through the high, and I was able to get maybe about 10 or 15 cents on that. But that's definitely a more risky trade. And that was a $100 trade though, but the risk was probably also $100 or a little more than that. I mean, you've seen that happen before. It attempts that red to green and it rejects the high a day. You can get pretty ugly. And it did actually end up rejecting here as well, but not so fast to where I wasn't able to get out. And there's the
goes
aftermath.
all the way back to that zone.
Yeah, and so that pretty much put BZFD off. And this is pretty much like a mid-cap stock. It actually has over 100 million float. So yeah, that's why you can kind of tell it's a little bit choppy price action. But
and
there's
did that
another
ticker
one.
just sell off from there, Tom?
No, it curled up around like 11:15, and then broke out and went maybe another 50 cents. I don't know where it's at right now, but I tried to scalp it a little bit. I made a little bit, but then I kept giving back what I made just through false breakouts. It wasn't really a small cap stock that likes to really go parabolic. Yesterday had a pretty decent move too, but still very choppy. Here's another one of that same setup that I like. So here we have the opening range breakout, but we don't hold, and we flush back down. And so here again, we have that same setup. We're in that uptrend above the VWAP. Potential shorts here that shorted at the open. Now, if you're short, you're up maybe 40 or 50 cents out of the open. You're probably going to get some shorts taking profits because it's still above VWAP. So I'm going to buy this dip off this first support underneath that previous low. So the next support is at 659 at VWAP. So I'm anticipating, buyers to kind of step in off of the support level and maybe attempt that red to green. You can see the volume is still not, crazy high to where it's clearly stopping out a crap ton of longs. So you can kind of see that the buyer stepping in, pumping the bottom of that wick. So I'm kind of in and out with, 5-cent gain, 3-cent gain until I really start to see some confirmation. But we try attempt here. I could be holding, but it's still very jumpy. So I take my gains when I have them, and then I wait for like a next setup. Sometimes at the open, if the market is real weak, you'll see something like this, and longs will jump on this, anticipating that red to green. But the next candle will open up and start to reclaim this lower end of the wick, and then that's where you can get a really bad breakdown.
Yeah,
that's why I'm still
everyone starts bailing.
Yeah, so that's why I still try to get the lower end of the wick and not try to buy too high of the wick. And here we break out there, and we actually do, if I would have held this, I actually could have had a really nice trade, but as you can see how it's going to end up, it's not going to be very pretty. It's still, it's not so convincing to where it's going into the high. Like it'll go up a few cents, then it'll sell off, another 10 cents, and then go up another few cents and then sell off. Finally get that breakout, but you see, it's not that convincing. It's not that, explosive. And, I try to catch a dip here, take a couple cents, but you don't really see that price closing at the top of the candles and then opening up, quick micro pullback, and then another 10% run. And there you go. You have that false breakout. And that's just pretty much it for that ticker. And that pretty much sells off from there. I think, let me see if I can see it from, I don't think
we went for that same trade actually on FWBI. I just
checked. FWBI, yeah, this one is just not very nice. But yeah, see, that's like the kind of the pros and the cons of holding. Like if you're going to hold the stock off of this low, yeah, you could have a nice profit here if you take profits. But if you're used to holding for 5 or 10 minutes, you're going to end up with a losing trade or a break-even trade right here. So, in one sense, if you are someone who holds longer, yeah, you may not leave as much money as the table as someone who's scalping the stock. But there's also a lot of times where you're going to have break-even trades when the scalper is going to be taking, 3-5 cents, adding up. And even if it's an ugly move, they can still end up green. So that's sort of an idea of how I trade the open. And usually the first 5, 10, 15 minutes of the open is where I make most of my money.
Yeah.
But I am going to start focusing more on pre-market as well and try to build my skills for pre-market, because I see you, Alex, you sometimes at 7 a.m. you're up at your daily goal and you're ready to walk away. And that's like such a good power position.
Yeah, it can be. It can be. Yeah, with FWBI, that one's a tough one for trend continuation, because if you look at the 5-minute on that one, and I could even share it if you don't have it up,
no, you can share it. Let me stop the share here.
Is just asking for disaster. And this is the 5-minute on this ticker where you run up and it flushes all the way down. It tries to run up, flushes down. Here it's beautiful because here it actually breaks it, pulls back, and this is a strong buy in my opinion. But then in this area we're kind of flagging out. But on these kind of tickers, I always look to the left, and typically I wouldn't be surprised if this one flushed. I did end up trading this one similar, and I didn't nail the move over VWAP, so I did pretty poor on this one. But it's that's just one thing I wanted to point out. Just some of these tickers. Also, this ticker is really just trending down, which is not very nice. Probably so many back holders, and looks like they're just doing dilution, dilution, reverse split dilution. So yeah, it's not like the ticker that you kind of would expect to see a huge win on, but I just wanted to add that different time frame perspective on it.
Yeah, no, definitely add whatever you guys want to, whatever, if you want to add to anything that I said.
Yeah,
I was
think
gonna
you explained
say,
it really well.
It's just kind of incredible to me, the fact that like if I did your trading style in futures, I literally would lose $5,000 a day. Like and $200 in fees. So it's just like,
yeah,
wow, to think that there's so many different ways to skin the cat. It's
yeah.
like, it's ridiculous to think that your style is like my complete nightmare, and you have your stats are incredible and they're so good. And it's like, I don't know, it's just really cool. Like if you have something that works in the market and anyone ever is telling you shit, just tell them to fuck off. Because
absolutely.
if
I
you're making
get
money, it doesn't
comments
matter, man.
all the time. Like, oh, why aren't you holding? Why you only hold for 10 seconds? You're
Yeah.
totally leaving money. Do you even know what you're doing? You're just looks like you're hitting buttons.
It looks crazy. And then you look at
all
your
the
calendar
time.
view and I'm like, I'm an idiot. Like he has something that I don't have. So
but you know what? If it ever goes back to commissions, I'm screwed. I have to completely reinvent a new strategy.
yeah.
But I would figure it out, obviously. But it would suck if we had to go back to commissions.
Yeah,
for sure.
For a lot of people, actually, it would suck.
Yeah.
Me and Nate are on that train already, but
That's right. We're trading a lot less though.
trade. Yeah.
Per contract.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
is there a futures broker or an options broker that you guys would recommend with very low fees or no fees? I mean, I know Colby does Weeple for options.
That's the best for options.
Yeah, I think so.
They have no fees at all. Me and Nate have had so many discussions on which futures broker, and TradeStation is definitely the best that we've found.
TradeStation.
In terms of what you get, yeah, Tradeovate it's about the same, I think, with the fees, but I personally think that TradeStation is the best platform, or a better platform than Tradeovate, and it's quite similar to TOS. I mean, nothing is the same as Thinkorswim in terms of like the user friendliness and the charting, but it's pretty good.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Nice. Who wants to hit the floor then and break it down?
Up to you, Nate. What's up?
I think we can you can go first, but in general, Colby and I have both been working on, as he said, following the trend. And we've very quickly realized that we're getting bigger wins and smaller losses. Yeah, even though you would think you have a better risk reward going for trend reversals. And it looks that way, but you win so much more frequently on the trend continuation trades. And so I'll let Colby jump into his trades first. I had a little bit of a crazy week with family stuff, so I don't have as much to share this week. So you can take it, Colby, and then I'll just finish up.
Okay, cool. So my first thing that I really messed up a lot this week is that I study a lot, and I have all these studies that I create called macro downtrend, micro uptrend, intraday, whatever. And I'm using those terms to basically understand where the market is sitting. And I have all these different posts that I already created that basically say whenever you're in a micro uptrend, trend reversal longs are very, 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 very good to take. And I took none of them. And instead I shorted all week, like I love to do. And there were like 5 days. Yeah. Yeah, dude. I was like, I just don't get it. The market is in pure just euphoria mode right now. Like everyone is buying, all the shorts are getting squeezed. It's straight to the moon right now. Like everyone is dead set that this year is like a 30% SPY year. And it's like, that's it. So obviously time to get a little scared about that. But just really quickly. So micro uptrend is what I've already described many times, but whenever you're on like an uptrend on the daily where we're making higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. This is that one day that I took the short last week and I sold really quickly and we came the whole way back down to this trend line. But the second, we found that trend line, we bounced right back up, broke the high, and now we're just doing consistent higher highs, higher lows again, kind of. But you can see in this chart, there are many scenarios where you have downtrends that become trend reversal longs very, very cleanly. So this was on the 25th. So this is Wednesday. This is me basically saying on the intraday time frame, we're in a downtrend. And I'm pretty sure this is the day that Nate was longing into this, because he was saying that we were going to hit demand or something like that about the bigger chart, which is totally correct. But in this intraday time frame, we're in a downtrend, so we're making lower highs, lower lows. So I was shorting this right here, which is fine. I made money, but at the same time, this is an intraday downtrend, micro uptrend, macro downtrend, and in those scenarios, you want to look for trend reversal longs. And we literally got a fucking beautiful, you know, this is a 1 point risk for a 6 point reward, which is just insane. You know, you have the setup perfectly too. It sets up incredibly. You have 1, 2, 3 points of contact on the downtrend. You break the downtrend, you pull back, and look at this exact spot right here too, which is the entry point. You have the 8 crossing the 20, which is indicating a new uptrend. And then we go up higher, and then you have the 21 cross the 50 right here. And that's even more of an uptrend indicator. So like, this is the trade. You take it right here, you risk low, and you sell at new high of day. And that's one part of that strategy. The other is, once the reversal happens, you can keep trading. So I stopped trading every day, and I could have been going long on all of these moves. So obviously, same setup, the trend reversal. Here's the trend reversal trade in the green. And then here's 2 trend continuation trades that are actually, they're tricky. Like, you have to really trust the trend to be taking these, but if you took them, you'd win. Right here's a long, risking the previous high of day, looking for a higher low off of this support. If you would have got long there, you made 10 points. And then, you know, you could have longed a bunch of these other parts too, but that was just one example. I mean, if you look at the week though, we have like multiple trend reversal long trades. This was that day right here. And then the very next day, we have the same exact thing happen again. We start the day in an uptrend, we pull back. We break the trend, we pull to the trend break area, we continue for whatever, 2 points. It's not that much. And we just did that back to back to back this whole week. So I need to learn that, like, if once I like start studying and I have all these examples of like, this is what happens when this happens, and this is what happens when this happens, you should probably just like listen to yourself and not let all the trades just go right past you. Because one of the most important things for us is like, whenever you see a new pattern happening in the market, you got to be one of the first people there. Okay. You can't be like the last dude to realize that, holy shit, the market's in an uptrend again. Well, the second if you're the last dude understanding that, you're going to be longing into the very end of that move. So like, I saw all of these happening last year multiple times, and I didn't take any of those trades, and yeah, it's just not good. And I have a couple examples of trades that I took where I was going for trend continuation, but I sold like really early. And like, this is the hard part for me and Nate, is that, like Nate said, like, we've been taking more trend continuation trades, and we're actually winning. We're getting bigger trades, which makes no sense, because trend continuation should be about a 1-to-1 risk reward with a very high win rate. So how the hell are we getting a high risk reward and a high win rate? That's just, it doesn't even make sense. But here's an example of that. So this is obviously like 10x speed, but I got short right here. We're in a downtrend, lower highs, lower lows. This is the 50 moving average. The blue one is, the white is 21, orange is the 8. And we're just trending below these back and forth. So once we get above the 21 and we break back down through it after failing at the 50, I use the 21 as an entry point, risking probably this candle right here. Because if we got back above there, it's probably going to break the 50. So I got in right there, looking for a new low of day. And that happened. And that was a 10-point trade right there, which is huge for me. Like, usually I'm only looking for 5 points. So getting 10 points on a trade is just really good. But watch what happens right after. Whoops. Yeah. So I sold right here at 78, and it went the whole way down to like 70. So this was my whole theory of like, maybe it's better to sell whenever you're 10 points extended from the 8 moving average, because here's the 8 moving average is at 3986. And then down here, 3976 would be like, I mean, I'm only making 2 more points on that trade if I sell 10 points extended from the 8 moving average. But I mean, yeah, I just need to
Your
learn how
risk
to
is
hold
only
these
like
winners
3
more.
points though. So those extra 2 points, they'd mean something.
Yeah, like we can't just take I mean, like you don't want to be extreme, obviously, where you're like the second you're in a trend, you hold all day, because that's not going to work either. So you have to have a sell point, and that's what I'm trying to figure out mostly right now. But here's another example. I get short here. I took a loss in the morning. We made a lower low after making a higher high. So I was like, okay, if this makes a lower low here, we're probably going to continue to the downside. So we did make the lower low, basing it off of this high. We break back below VWAP here. We pull up. We hit the 21 moving average. I got short right there, risking the 8. So took that short. It's about, my cursor's covering it, but I think it's like a 2-point trade. Yeah, don't mind my little shitty animations.
I was
that
just gonna
forgot
say, like the animation graphics.
Dude, I've been trying to mess with editing recently, and it's so much fun. But like, I made this whole video, and I didn't realize that like the animation for the words to go down into the thing, it was like a 15-second animation. I'm like, bro, just get in there, you know? Holy shit.
So good.
This was a long trade, I think. Not really.
You could also see this as a higher low.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. That's the thing that's tricky. But like, since we
For a
broke the
long.
low on the day, that's why
Yeah.
I was like, we're probably gonna continue, because
Yeah.
if this held a higher low right here above this low, then I wouldn't be shorting. But since we broke
Yeah.
that, I was like, there's potential for a lower high, especially once we failed right here. But this is like 20x speed, so this was like a 15-minute trade at least. There's me pulling up Patrick Weiland's stream.
And MESH, how much is a contract?
1100, right?
50
Nate?
bucks. Oh yeah.
Oh
with
shit,
the
true.
Your day margin rate's only 50 bucks.
Yeah.
So that
So you're
each-
taking a
each,
50 share. It's like 50 shares of the SPY. So, oh yeah. So like,
each
look at
tick
that
is
shit.
how much? Yeah, that's nice. Wow.
Each
Each
tick
tick
is
is
$1.25.
$1.25. Yeah.
Oh,
Each
okay.
point is $5 bucks.
So that trade right there was another, I think, 7 points, because I was down 15 on the day, and then I ended the day up 15 or something like that. But it was a good trade. Don't get me wrong. But look at how much further it breaks down. Like my sell point was at the new low, like looking for a lower low.
Yeah.
And look at that shit. I mean, 7 points, and I left 10 on the table almost immediately. And here's another
Yeah.
example of me using the 8 moving average to take my profits when it gets 10 points extended from it, because the moving average is at 44. This is at 34. So right here is where I should be selling, actually.
Yeah. I was gonna say there, Colby, in that trade there, if you're talking trend continuation, I think the low you should be targeting is the actual
This
previous low there. Yeah, versus
Yeah.
selling at the
Yeah.
that low there, because that's kind of like it's inside of the current trend. So
Yeah.
definitely should have taken it at that other low.
Yeah. Yeah. That's just so painful to watch.
In your defense, you're only using one contract. So if you start doing, eventually you'll do 2 or 3, 4. How is that gonna influence your exits? Are you going to figure out, maybe I should scale out, or I should do all at one, or is
Me
there
and
an
Nate-
ad spot?
Yeah, me and Nate have had this conversation a couple times as well. And we used to be people that thought that partials, like taking a partial, is good. And like, don't get me wrong, like there's probably a point in the future where we're going to use size so big that it would be stupid to not take a partial. But for now, it's just not worth it, because if you're only like the only time a partial makes sense to hold is if it is less than 10% of your total original position size. So we would need 10 contracts and to sell 9 of them at that spot and then hold that last partial. Because if you don't do it that way, your risk reward is so skewed, because who cares if you're selling, if you sell half your position at the profit area and it bounces back up on you, you're done. So you're going to end that trade break even. So Yeah, I'm not going to ever
Yeah.
take a partial until I can at least take 90% of my position size, which I could do with shares. Like we used to do it with shares because, take 25 shares, you take 20 off, you leave 5 on, whatever. But yeah, I don't know if Nate probably has something smarter to say about that.
Yeah,
Oh.
I mean, just in general, with the size we're using, I guess it doesn't really make sense, like Colby said, but if we're going to take partials, it has to be no more than, or no less than a 1R. Otherwise, it really doesn't make sense because, as I said, I think in our first session, we're always willing to hold our full position to our stop, but then we're taking partials out early, and that just automatically skews your risk reward. So I've stopped taking them. Yeah, I've stopped taking them. But yeah, it's tough.
Yeah,
Sometimes you see a trade working out and it's starting to look weak, and you want to you get emotional and you want to pull some off. But if you do that long enough, it works in that scenario because then you end up limiting your risk on that particular trade. But if you do that over an extended period of time, yeah, that's when it starts to skew your risk reward. So
yeah, amen to that.
And
Actually, I have like 3 examples of that literally today where I was up slightly, like let's say $50 or so, and it started looking weak, and I was like, oh, I should close this one. I didn't, and every time I actually ended up stopping out when I could have taken small, very small, like micro base hits, like 3 times in a row. But then I'm thinking, if that does pop up, you know what's going to happen? I'm going to miss up huge upside potential. I'm going to get FOMO. I'm going to chase, and then I'm probably going to get flushed on, and then I'm going to get really upset, So I'd rather take those small losses again and again and again. If it's just one of those days. That's my thought on that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really those big winners that, like, if you get an actual, especially with the large caps and following trend continuation, if you get one big winner, like Colby's taking risks of 3 points to make 10, but you catch a really good trend continuation, you get 20, 30 points. That's huge. That eats up potentially tons of your losses in one trade. So
it's like a week of losses, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's my last one. This was today, and this is actually, me and Nate talked about this as well. I honestly think this is like 40% skill, 60% luck, this trade, because we're still in an uptrend here on the daily. Like, we came down and made a higher low. We're making just higher lows back to back, higher highs. But the only thing that made me feel like this was actually going to work is if you look at the 8 moving average right here, you can see that we tap it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, and then we spike up super hard, pull back, get below it, but all in the same 3-minute candle, we get right back above the 8, come back up higher, make a new high of day, which is also a new weekly high, I don't know if it's monthly high, but it's probably pretty close. And then we come back down and we actually hold below the 8 right here. So this is the first time all day that we actually held below the 8 moving average. And if you draw a trend line right here, this is also the break of that trend line. So I figured, why not take a short at the retest of the 8 whenever we pull up, and I'll risk like this high right here, because that would be basically a back above the trend change of the 8 moving average. Like the 8 starts to flip right there. So if it gets back above that, it's probably game over. I'm going to lose. So that was a 3-point stop for a potential break of this low, which is about like 7 or 8 points. So that's the whole enticing part of trend reversals, though, is it's like, my risk reward is like ridiculously high and all this stuff. And like, sometimes it is, but if you take it 10 times, you're just going to lose like 7 out of 10. So whenever I won on this trade, I was like, I'm done. I'm not taking any more trades. So just watch this one. Immediately gets lower. I don't sell yet because I wanted to get 10 points extended from the 8 moving average. So once we broke that low, I was like, shit, this is going to come right back up. The SPY, like on the futures, the VWAP is right here, but on the SPY, it was up here. So I don't know why it was so different. Once I saw that, I was like, all right, I'm taking VWAP off of this chart and I'm only using the SPY on TOS again. But yeah, it was wild. But it only went 1 point above my entry in this entire move. And I just keep holding from my risk or my reward. And that was pretty much what I was going to do until one of those things happened.
And so the funny part about this trade is I ended up taking it not long after this, because at this point you have your cross, Colby. And so I didn't take that first trade because I was waiting for more confirmation. And you won and I didn't.
Yeah.
So it pays to be first. But I think over the long run, that was a good trade there for sure. And I considered taking it, but Colby and I are trying to wait for that confirmation of the trend change versus what we were doing before, which is anticipating it. So
Yeah,
that's
there
just how
were
it is.
two. Yeah, it was just sometimes you're just lucky and sometimes you're not. And that was partially it. And like there was a couple things that happened in that trade as well. Like right whenever I got in, I saw the Dixie, which is the US dollar. It's an inverse of the SPY basically. And right whenever I got in, I saw this massive green candle and we were above all the moving averages. And I was like, the SPY might like really ramp down here quickly. And I was also watching Patrick Weiland's stream and he had the book map. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that software, but he had the book map up and it was a huge seller right in that area. And then also the 21 and the 8 crossed right here. So that was a really good trade. But watch this.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is my whole idea of like, I don't want to sell until we're 8 points extended, 10 points extended from the 8. So the 8's at 79, sell at 69, which is literally the low of that candle. And then it went down a little bit lower after this, but
Wait, Nate, where was your entry on that one?
right here.
It was right there. Yeah, at the retest of the fifth. That's the 50, right, Colby?
Yep.
And I thought that was actually smart at the time.
It looks like a good trade. You should probably continue. The only thing that made it not work is that we made a higher low.
Yeah. And once I saw that, I probably should have bailed on it. But again, I'm trying to hold to stop. And also I have the SPY on TradingView on a separate monitor, and at that entry was also the pre-market high for the SPY. So I was actually quite convinced we were going to sell off there. But
I was too. The only reason I didn't take it is because I won already, and that's what I meant by it's kind of a lot of luck sometimes. This is just my last example, which is an exception to the rule of the sell 10 points extended from the 8, because I got in short here. We break the low. I cover. Actually, never mind. This is actually an example of that fucking being correct, because this is at 18 and this is at 07. So I did sell this perfectly 10 points extended from the 8 moving average. And look what happens right after. Straight back up.
Oh, that's a reversal
that
right
one
there.
would have hurt right there.
Yeah, it's heavy.
So that's like a
So
good
that's
example of
50
just why to
bucks?
sell.
That was like $50.
Yeah, I'm only up 33. I don't know if I took another trade.
Yeah,
It doesn't look like I
I
took
think
another
you were
trade.
done. Oh yeah,
Maybe not.
you had close to a $50 winner one of these days though.
I won 50 today. And I had 2 trades this week where they were both 9.5 points and 9.75. So those are like my biggest trades for futures that I've had ever. And I'm changing my entire strategy. So for me to get 2 of my biggest wins pretty much in the same week of me trying something different is like really good sign for me at least. But
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You have to
That's
figure out
probably-
your stats for like if you do that once a day and see how your stats turn out.
that's the other thing that's tricky with the trend continuation is that like Nate was a little bit later to that drop and I was in like, and I made money and he didn't. And there's a lot of examples of that, like where you kind of have to be the first person in the trend continuation trade to really get those profits. Like if you're late at all, you're kind of just like the last dude at the party and they all left. So you have to be really aggressive. And that's so foreign to me and Nate, because me and Nate are, for the last year, we're basically like, there's 3 good trades a day on the SPY. We need to be very patient, wait for every perfect setup, like only take the trades that make 100% perfect sense. But then with trend continuation, that's a whole different type of strategy, because you can take that 10 times and you'll probably only lose on like 3 of them. Whereas on the trend reversals, you get like 2 chances a day. You're probably going to lose on probably both of them, because it's a 30% win rate. So yeah, we just have to learn how to get more aggressive on those
It's actually
front sides and back
very
sides.
similar to the trade I showed in the beginning of this, because there was that higher low that came in. I was kind of calling it a first stare, more or less. And I just went for it. Like there was no VWAP confirmation or anything like that, because I mean, you saw it when it hit VWAP, that was the profit target. And technically I sized into that, averaged into the winner, and that was the loser. So it was almost like the first part was Colby. The second part was Nate, where I came in late to the setup. But the thing is, sometimes in the hotter markets, when you start sizing and adding into these winners, you're going to get some really nice wins. So it's tough to try to pick out the right lessons and not put yourself in a too tight of a rule set where you're going to make more mistakes.
100%. Yep.
Yeah. Speaking about that trade right there, Colby, that last one today, I do think today's session was very difficult for really either trend continuation and trend reversal. But because you've taken that entry a ton of times as well, looking for the trend break retest on a trending move and just get crushed
Lose every time. Every time.
Yeah. So like today it worked, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work, 7-8 times out of 10. And so that's why I wasn't super upset with the trade I took today, because I wanted to see that the trend had shifted before I started going for it would be trend continuation for me, but reversal at the point you jumped in. But so I wasn't super upset with that. My biggest takeaway from this week, as I said, I didn't get to do as much recapping, reviewing this week. But for me, my biggest kind of takeaway this week was I just really need to recognize when we're trending and when we're ranging. So I actually set an alarm on my phone for 10:15 a.m. This pops up, are we trending, are we ranging, just to get me back into that mindset, which I might have to start setting earlier, because Colby and I were talking that the trend continuation setups work really well in the morning. I might need to start looking for those more at like 9:45 to 10, whereas we're used to waiting until at least 10 o'clock. Sometimes I'm trading closer to 11 o'clock. So, but switching the strategy around, I might have to start trading earlier in the day and more aggressive. But again, when you're following the trend, you're usually right very quickly. And if you're not, you can just hop out for a small loss. So just pull up quickly. I don't have too much to share with you guys this week, but this is Wednesday morning. You guys can see this here.
Yeah.
Let me just, all your faces are in the way. So yeah, so I took this trade Wednesday morning. As I said, I'm trying to decide quite early on in the day, like, well, as you can see, it was like around 11 o'clock, but I'm trying to decide if we're ranging or trending. And before, I never really took too much of the pre-market action into account for the futures, because, well, I don't know, I just no volume. So I looked at this right away and said, all right, we're an hour into the day, hour and a half into the day. To me, this looks like we're ranging below VWAP, which we've had quite a few trending days so far recently. So I was just biased from this point on that we're in a range. And so I took a long, Colby took a short somewhere in here, and I ended up taking a long, I think it was right here. But yeah, I took this long right here, looking for a bounce off this demand. Held for quite a while. Oh no, where did I enter? Somewhere in this spot here. Okay, yeah, sorry. I entered right in here, held through this, was holding this demand, sold right before we got this quick pop up here, which is what I was looking for. But I wouldn't have probably sold here, because at this point I'm thinking we're ranging. So my target was VWAP. And Colby, I said to Colby, I took this trade because we're ranging. And Colby was like, what are you talking about? We're actually trending. And it's funny because we had different definitions of it. And I didn't take a screenshot of the actual 15 and the 30, but if you had looked from basically the session open at 6 p.m. the prior night, we had been downtrending all night long. So what I should have been looking for was this photo here. Can you guys see this one, or do I have to change the screen again?
Yeah, I don't see it.
All right, one second. New share. Okay. Can you see that one now?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the trend that I was missing here. So this whole time I'm thinking we're ranging based on the open price action, but we're actually in a downtrend all the way from the night before. This is on the 5-minute, and even on the 15 and 30, it was more clear. So Colby got aggressive early and took, I think it was this short you took, Colby, which was great. And I think you held it, or did you take this one? I don't know. You took one of these. But
one of those breakthrough lows.
Yeah, he had the red idea is basically what I'm getting at. So I need to be more concise on finding when we're trending and when we're ranging. And what Colby pointed out is it was very clear. Lower high, which you can't see before, but lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. Basically in this area here, it got a little choppy in here, but lower high, lower low. And we did, I believe, eventually break this and start trending to the upside. But yeah, I was essentially going for a range trade or essentially mean reversion at this point. And so I almost got the pop I was looking for, but I kind of doubt I would have sold into this pop here. And this almost immediately just flushed right back down. So do a better job of just recognizing when we're in the trend, when we're ranging, and then trade it. You know, if we're trending, I'm looking for essentially breakouts. So let's say could draw a line here. You're probably taking, especially once you see this fail, you know, you could take this move here. You have like a couple point risk, like 2 point risk to make, you know, 7, 8 points to the downside here. But yeah, and then I'll just quickly share the trade from today that Colby took. Let me X out of this here. Screen one. Yeah, okay, I see it up the top there. I'll do that next time. We'll just jump in here real quick. Sorry for the delay. So you guys can see this now?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So this is the trade I took here. Took a couple losers in here. So I was going for we're up here. We had been trending in the morning. So I tried to take a trend break up here, cut it. This trade was unnecessary loss. I shouldn't be buying a dip when we're obviously, even if it's such a short-term downtrend. So of the trades today, this is the one I was most unhappy with. But yeah, so Colby took, it was this retest you took, Colby, right? Or somewhere up here. Colby took this retest, and I think you covered at the low here.
Yeah.
And then it flushed through here. And so I waited until we tested the 50 EMA, which is the red line here on the 5-minute chart. I entered on this green candle here, which the 15-minute chart as well was at a supply zone. So I entered short here and held through a bit of drawdown, which I was okay with. And then I had set the trend line here. And we got so my entry was like right basically at the break, broke through here. And I was just looking for that next move lower, but we held the open price here. And as soon as I saw that not break down and start moving up, I should have just got out for a scratch here. But I wanted to give it, I was looking at the 5-minute chart. I wanted to at least give it to the top of this candle here. And at that point, I'm thinking, well, VWAP is right there. So I was kind of moving my stop, which is a rookie mistake. But I was willing to let this one work because on the 15-minute chart at that time, we were up here somewhere. And I was thinking we could potentially have 2 15-minute charts. So where's the demand zone there? So the demand zone on the other one looked like our supply zone. I think it looked like this. This is an intraday one. So I was thinking, yeah, so it was this high. I was basing a short off of this supply zone here. And I was thinking at this point, I was willing to give it from 68 up to 74, 75, somewhere up in here. It's like essentially a 6 to 8 point stop, because I was thinking if we did break down here and break this open low, we could have potentially seen a move down in here into the down here into the like the 40s was my essential long-term target, which at that point is, you know, a 25 point risk or sorry, 25 point reward for about an 8 point risk. So that was the idea, and Colby just caught it earlier. I'm not super unhappy with it though, because I think generally like we had broken at this point, we're starting to increase the strength of the sell-off. And once we break that 50 moving average, in general, we've tend to, if we go back and
I think a big part here to think about too is the market has been very strong lately. So you almost, the first thing I do in the mornings is I'll write a little game plan for the day, and I'll think about like how the macros are doing overall. And
and that's why Colby's very good at that in terms of talking about macro market, micro uptrend, and intraday, what we're doing. Let's see if I just scroll back here to yesterday. You can see as the 50 moving average, it worked so well, both to the upside and to the bottom side. You could have taken a short here. But again, we're in a stronger market, but you can see we're holding this 50 to the upside pretty much every day.
Yeah, it's been super strong. I almost wanted to take a trade today or during the stream. Because you guys were talking about the SPY and I looked at it and I was like, man, that was looking good. And this was like 30 minutes ago. I should have asked you guys what you thought. And it's a little bounce. And I was looking at the option for a second and the 307 or something like that on the SPY. No, 407, obviously. And yeah, it just boom, just keeps going up. So it's really, really strong right now. Healthy market.
Yeah. In general, the daily, we've been in an uptrend, in a micro uptrend since we really broke out of that range in mid-January. When was this? Yeah, early on in January. So I think in general, when we're talking trend continuation, I need to be looking for the better trades to the long side until we actually confirm a move to the downside. Then I can be more confident in the short trades. But for Colby and I personally, we definitely need to be mostly focused on the macro, micro, and then the intraday. We need to be, if we're going to do trend continuation, we need to be skewed to the side that we're actually moving in over the daily. So
100%.
Yeah.
We might get like 2 or 3 bigger days of sell-off at one point, but I mean, right now tickers are up a lot. Coin is up 100% from its lows. So I mean,
look at Tesla.
Big moves. Tesla
sub 75% right now.
Yeah, so
in like 15 days.
Remind me about Tesla, man.
Big bounces. I feel like there might be a bottom in, and we might get. I don't know if this is a dead cat bounce or not, but if it's not, I still think that we're going to get a bit of a pullback and then continuation from there. But that pullback might be 2-3 days of like real big red, just like, a quick flash pullback before continuation. So
I hope it's more than 2 or 3 days. Shit.
Yeah.
I hope it's like multiple weeks.
That would be a new low then, I would assume.
No. I just meant like a slow move lower. I mean, I do love bear markets just because I feel like it's just so easy to trade whenever the market is panicking to the downside. But like grinding higher whenever the market is in like still in bear territory is just, it's so hard to trade because like, where's the momentum? It's in like short squeeze euphoria mode one day, and the very next day it's like recession's here, like the Great Depression's tomorrow. What are you doing? Like sell everything. So yeah, it's hard.
Anyone have anything else left to cover?
Yeah, I think for the most part, I'm all set.
Yeah, that's it from my end as well.
But it's interesting to see, Alex, how you've been trying to follow trend continuation in the small cap market, and it's really different, but it's not so different at the same time.
Yeah, I think the whole logic is really the same in a way. Like I feel like you can pivot from the SPY options to small caps to large caps as long as the setup is there. And I think that's the biggest part is like, you have to wait for the trades to come to you. And I think Lance in the Discord said that today. I don't know him so well personally. I haven't had a call with him, but he posted like, just be patient and wait for the trade to come to you. And I was like, that's it. Like that is it today specifically, but really every day. And every time you just try to force these trades, I think I forced a lot today. And I think that's probably a big reason why I'm red. Yeah. So.
Yeah, Alex, you made me want to trade small caps whenever I saw you doing these trend trades, because I'm like, shit, that looks so much like the SPY right now. And I'm like, there's whole, like, that's why I love that whole like macro micro intraday. Like you were saying how in the mornings you do that same kind of stuff, Alex. But if you can really identify momentum on a large scale and use that on the smaller time frames, that's where like all of the edge in trading comes from, because you just know you're just doing pretty much what the opposite of everyone else is trying to do. And that's where the money is. But
yeah, and try to get in early, like you guys were identifying, identify that trend and just get in early. And then, unless it's like I was saying in the beginning, unless it's that, hive day, new front side, first green day, you should probably trade, take profits at that 10% mark or something like that. Like I should have done today. And then I would have had a great green day today. Yeah, I think I'm pushing it unnecessarily hard. I think I would be getting more done if I just did less, but it's hard to do sometimes. So I beat myself up this week. I feel like in a way, like Mondays and Fridays, I almost want to tighten up my stop. Like if my stop is, let's say I'm down, I don't know, 10% or 5% based on my average size or whatever your stop is for that day. I feel like on Mondays and Fridays, I just want to cut that in half. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to
Yeah.
start and end my week stressed out. It's like,
I feel like the best way to do that for me, at least, is I do the 2 red trades back to back. You got to go. I don't care if it was $1. You take 2 red trades in a row, you're done.
I find that one so hard, but yeah, I
Maybe
know.
you have to be like 3 or 4 for you guys in small caps, but
Yeah,
or more than that. But
yeah. I mean, as long as you're limiting your losses, it to me, I view it as fine. Because sometimes it really, you're like, it takes a few losses to make you realize like you're doing something wrong, and then you get patient, and then like you nail that move later on.
yeah,
I don't know what the perfect answer is here. I've been thinking about it a lot lately. I hope I figure it out, but limit downside, not upside, I think is a philosophy that has been sticking out a lot lately.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I also think if you're trading well, those are the days that you should be pushing the gas more.
Yeah. Yeah,
Colby
that's
and I
so true.
Colby and I sometimes we get one nice win and we're like, let's lock it in, done for the day.
Yep.
And then we come on a red day, we take 5, 6 trades or whatever, you know, and just adds up. So
Just get more and more in the red. Yeah, like if you're feeling it, you're in the flow. You're absolutely right. That's kind of when you want to double down and go all in. That's how.
yeah, because even if you do take a losing trade, well, you're really in no worse of a position than you were in the morning. Whereas like if you have a red day and you continue to overtrade, like you can really dig yourself a huge hole.
That again goes to the philosophy of like you want to limit your downside but not the upside. I mean, you could almost
Yeah.
apply that thought to so many things. And I've been every time I try to make a decision, I've been trying to use that philosophy, and I think it's been working really well. Today, I just got skunked hard, and I, didn't limit my upside at one point, but that's almost a different topic again.
Yeah. Sometimes I think it's difficult psychology wise because as day traders, right, we're trying to make money every single day. And most people will have a set goal, like whatever it is, let's say they want to make $100 a day. But if you're trying to hit that goal every single day, then it becomes quite a bit more stressful. Whereas if you're feeling it one day, you could very easily take 2, 3 great trades and be up 300, $400 in a day. And you essentially made $100 every day, but you did it in one day versus trying to force it when it's not there.
Yeah.
Yep.
That is so true. It's hard to get in that mindset because I guess you have to basically tell yourself you're not here to like make money or anything. You're just here to do the best possible trading. And if that means no trading, that means no trading. But yeah, it's hard because you show up to quote unquote work and you don't do anything, but you still have to look the market's weird. I definitely struggle with that a lot.
That's
Yeah.
toughest when you're learning. That's not tough as much for us anymore, as much as when you first start the first couple of months.
Yeah.
When you show up and I mean, I'm sure all of us, we've spent an entire 12-hour day looking at the market, studying to only lose money for weeks.
Dude, that happened to me 2 days ago.
That's the worst feeling ever.
Oh, dude, it's hella stressful. Yeah. Oh, that's all for me. I'm stressed out on this week. So, but it was good. It was really good brainstorming. I really enjoyed it. It always kind of puts a little bit of light on any sort of negative flow, the conversations.
Yeah, for sure. No, I enjoyed it, man. I think for me, I need to. It's time to order a camera, a webcam. Because this laptop camera is not cutting it.
Yeah, you look like a ghost.
Yeah,
You're like blurred out and shit.
yeah. I'm looking at them online now. So.
Yeah, they're like $50.
But yeah, so that was good though, man. I enjoy it every time. I feel like I learn a bit more, and it's just good to go over trades with others that actually get it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely critical to have a little group to talk, because if you're by yourself, you have no one to talk to about the trading life.
Dude, there's prop firms out here with literally 50 people that are just like us. And every morning they get together and they make a plan and they trade together. And then at the end of every day, they get together and they talk about what they did right and wrong. And
Yeah.
that is just fucking crazy to think about. You're learning 50 people's mistakes every day. You know, like we got to have
Yeah.
that value created. We have to create that on our own because we don't have like, you know, this group doing it for us. But
Yeah.
super
Maybe
important.
someone's got to throw in like a macro game plan, and someone throws in another game plan or something like that.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I'm not even sure, but we could keep brainstorming. I think that if we could some way implement that, I'd be super down.